Welcome to CharityVillage Connects. Today we're celebrating the 2023 winners of the CharityVillage National Awards. Joining me is Tammy Webster, Director of Equity, and Isabel Deslauriers, Director of Youth and Volunteer Experience for Let's Talk Science. Winner of Best Volunteer Program for an organization of more than 20 staff, and finalist for Best Nonprofit Employer for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you, and thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And well, why don't we start off by telling me a little bit about your organization? I wonder, Tammy, if you could take a stab and tell us all about Let's Talk Science.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will do my best, keeping in mind that I still consider myself fairly new to the organization. I've been there about 2.5 years. And it's incredible the work that Let's Talk Science does and has been doing. They've been around for 30 years. So we get to celebrate our 30th anniversary this year, which is exciting. We are all about STEM education, and all of our resources are at no charge to children and youth from kind of kindergarten to grade 12. Also, we engage with the educator or professional learning communities and populations. Some of the, I guess, great accomplishments that we've had is we've had over 3 million interactions with youth and educators during our time. A lot of our programming is used in about 6,000 schools. We're in about 55, and I know Isabel will fix me on or correct me on that one, outreach sites across Canada who deliver STEM outreach into schools, into communities, into various organizations. And some of our, I guess, metrics is we've had over 12,000 classrooms where we've had a number, like we go into the classrooms working with students. So that's just kind of some of the highlights of what we are. All of our work is really driven around ensuring that every child across Canada has access to STEM and can see themselves in STEM. There's a big need, a big demand for it. Our world is changing, and we need these critical thinkers. We need these innovative thinkers that can evolve from STEM education. So yeah, a lot of our programs, we run about 5 or 6 major programs, such as events and series. We have some projects that we do. We also have a competition series. We provide a lot of resources and support. Our professional learning series, and within each of those categories, we have like 5 or 6 kind of subcategories. So it's an incredibly robust system that we offer. So that's a little bit of what we do. I don't know, Isabel, you want to jump in and add to that in case I missed something?
No, I think you covered it. I think just to recap, it's all about getting kids excited about science and seeing how they belong in science.
Well, it's exciting. So tell me why what made you decide to submit a nomination for 2 awards, in fact. But first, let's start with the award for the program for volunteers. Isabel, I wonder if you could talk about what was it that prompted you to make the application?
Sure. Let's Talk Science was founded in 1993, and from the start, it's been a volunteer-driven program. As a volunteer-driven program, as Tammy mentioned, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, and we've been reflecting on that volunteer component, really having been that constant through those 30 years. So it was applying for the award was a really great opportunity to celebrate the tens of thousands of volunteers, most of them students, who have contributed throughout that history, and the hundreds of volunteer managers too at the local level. They tend to be students as well, and at the national level. So they've all contributed throughout that history by going out and making sure volunteers have a great experience, and that all those kids have like great experiences with science by participating in hands-on science activities.
Well, my goodness, Isabel, it sounds like you had your hands full with an army of volunteers that you had to manage. What do you think made your nomination stand out?
Well, I would say at the beginning of Let's Talk Science, it was all about the kids that we reach and getting them excited about science and involved in science. And we're really proud of the impact that we have on them. However, with time, we also started to realize what an impact the program was having on our volunteers. Our volunteers are mostly post-secondary STEM students, and through their experience with Let's Talk Science, they develop an understanding of the importance of science communication, science outreach, and the importance of science literacy in the world too. They develop the skills and a passion that they need to stay science ambassadors, whatever their career path takes them to. So after their experience, they graduate, they become research scientists, community activists, policymakers, industry leaders, teachers, and they're able to bring those skills and that passion with them. So I often think about the tens of thousands of people really that are out there in the science community, and it's a tremendous engine for change. So once we realized that was happening as part of the program that really had been started to just do fun science with kids, we started to really focus on it. So our team pays close attention to volunteers. We do a lot of listening. We survey them a lot and often. We look at comparing the experience of volunteers across demographic groups to make sure the support that they get and the experience that they get is equitable. We try to understand why they sign up and then why they stay, and also why they leave sometimes or why they can't engage. And we constantly make adjustments to the program based on that understanding. We also pay close attention to their skill development to make sure that they leave their volunteer experience with skills that are then going to help them in their life and their career, and to help them continue to be advocates for science throughout their life.
Well, it looks like you did your work well, because the judges certainly noticed giving you that win. But you also were a finalist for DEI. And Tammy, I'd love to hear about what your thoughts are about why you think your nomination stood out to get you recognized as a finalist.
I think when we think about EDI, and we actually attach A to that as part of the accessibility, we strive to address systemic barriers that continue to persist, because too many people are not engaging. And we have many reports that support that and data that supports that. And so when we look at reviewing and kind of embedding and implementing EDIA, it's really about that authentic commitment. To understanding the principles, to understand the operations of it. How can this lead to like the large scale transformation of STEM education? It's that idea of we're always trying to cultivate the diverse and inclusive workforce that values and really respects the unique perspectives that individuals can bring, regardless of some of those systemic and not systemic barriers that have really impacted their involvement or abilities to see themselves. So kind of, if we look at as an organization, by nurturing and developing and growing our equity within our organization, we can actually be in a better position to deliver and look at the outcomes and really catalyze some of that positive change from an external and from an outreach and from a resource point of view. So it's kind of like a bit of a parallel, but also kind of tied together braiding of internally, externally, and really it's going to be the children and youth and the educators who benefit from it.
Absolutely. Well, now I'd like to go to both of you, or rather each of you, to find out what being named first a winner for the Volunteer Award and finalist for the DEI Award means to you personally, and also in a larger sense for your organization. Isabel, let's start with you.
Yeah, for me personally, I guess it's so meaningful. It's really the award I think that would be the most meaningful for me. I started out as a volunteer at Let's Talk Science. It didn't take long before I became like a volunteer coordinator at McGill University. That's where I was based. And then I started my career at Let's Talk Science at the national office right after. And I've been there for 15 years. So I've had kind of all those roles, and from volunteer to local coordinator to staff member. So volunteering will always have a soft spot in my heart. and I believe in it so strongly. In terms of the team, there was so much excitement on our team when we found out that we won the award. You should have seen the gifs and the emojis that were flying around. Like, we're a very virtual team, and we can't wait to share the news with our volunteers too. I think on International Volunteer Day, we'll send them a special card, and to have them join into the celebration. It's really heartening, especially because volunteer management, especially the last few years, it's had a lot of challenges. I think anyone listening to this podcast will relate to that. But I think that winning, first being nominated for the award, being a finalist, and then winning it, it's a nice influx of energy to continue navigating those post-pandemic challenges and to continue to do our best to make Let's Talk Science a great place to volunteer.
Well, you certainly impressed a whole bunch of people, not just the judges for volunteering, but also the judges for DEI. Tammy, what did it mean for you personally and for the organization that your organization was recognized as a finalist for DEI?
For sure. Personally, being First Nations and having grown up in a variety of settings, and having my first university degree as STEM, which is kind of odd to say I'm finally here at Let's Talk Science. But for me personally, it was really a confirmation and affirmation of what I value and believed that education could be. And that's kind of nice. Historically, First Nations, I don't want to make broad statements, but we're often our views are dismissed or our perceptions are dismissed. And I kind of said, no, this is a great organization for what they're doing. I really do believe in it. I really do see the potential. And so for me personally, to kind of get the finalist, recognition, I was like, wow, okay, we are doing great stuff. And, my own beliefs, kind of like Isabel was saying about, our little hot, soft spots, I guess, to have that recognition is really kind of cool. And, in terms of the organization, being recognized by the peers and the experts that reviewed all the applications, it's an honor and a little humbling, because, so many people were looking at it and said, yeah, these Let's Talk Science is doing some really cool stuff. So it's a testament to our vision, our mission, our beliefs, all of these values that kind of drive our operations and what we do, and that commitment to preparing the youth. So from an organization, it's a validation, it's confirmation of the incredible work that we do and we continue to do. That's kind of, I think, for me, what it means.
Well, it's a double validation, not only because it's in two very distinct areas for the two award categories, but also those groups of judges are, as you know, very distinctly subject matter experts on those areas that are reflected in the categories. So, that actually shows that you had a very large group of people who were very impressed with your work. And so I just want to say congratulations to you both and to your organization. Thank you so much for all the wonderful work that you're doing. And you're clearly making the nonprofit sector and the young people within it, including those that are part of your programming, that you're making STEM something that is achievable, doing it equitably, and clearly making long-term changes in people's lives for the better. So I really, really want to give you my warmest congratulations, and hope you're celebrating your incredible win and your honored position as a finalist as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mary, and appreciate all the work that went into reviewing all the applications, and so it's awesome. We thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to celebrate, but we're also going to work even harder because this type of work is never done and can always be done better. So thank you for energizing us to do even better.
Fantastic. We're very proud to celebrate your success and to share your success with the nonprofit sector and your colleagues across Canada. So bravo and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you again.